You're listening to the Living Mandala podcast. My name is Ara. And it's still Color in the Living Mandala series. I'm here with Nicole Cullum of Caravan. Of course, we've just come down off of this amazing multi-part series all about color, its derivatives, where we find it in nature, the pigmentation history, of course, the spiritual dimensions, religious dimensions, emotional dimensions, how we use these colors in design, how they're used in feng shui, planetary astrology, and of course, we anchored each episode with, colors embodied as goddesses. Mm-hmm. That's a subject that she and we both are very interested in. And so it was really fun to see. I'll just start with that one. We wanted to take an episode to just kind of put a bow on the series and starting with the embodied goddess. I mean, I think that was so fascinating.
I love that.
That we did not compare notes in advance.
No, on purpose.
On purpose. Mm-hmm. And we each had, a very different list.
Totally different.
Yeah.
Totally different. And I just think it's hilarious that we both, for years, have had spreadsheets on goddesses and their colors and their plants and their animals and their meanings. And for me, I use my spreadsheet because I can say, okay, I want to embody the goddess Hera, who is, goddess of the home and of marriage and devotion. And, her symbols are like the tiger lily, and she has certain colors. And so I can literally create a wallpaper or textile pattern using her symbols, right?
Wow, yeah. I've seen you do it, actually.
Yes, and I love doing that, and I love seeing what people gravitate towards. Like, you can kind of tuck in these symbols and make designs out of them and see what people lean towards.
Without a physical human depiction of the goddess.
Correct.
You can just simply flood it with her symbology, her gemstones, her flowers, and scream Hera without ever showing a picture of her.
Right. And some people will be like, no, not that one. And you can have Athena, which is, goddess of wisdom and battlefield kind of plotting and planning.
Didn't you do an Athena helmet?
I did. I did a whole helmet motif, and it's very it's masculine, but it's all Athena. Right. And she's the owl and wisdom and writing and strategy.
Right.
So she's like the masculine goddess.
Right. And I use that I have multiple spreadsheets of weird things that I track. But I have this ever expanding what I call my chart of correspondences, which sort of lines up some rough approximations across cultures, across religions, across all different kinds of things, color spectrums, I mean, you name it. And so I use these goddesses in my ever-evolving, growing chart of correspondences that I refer to all the time for myself, my own, that's something else I can add to my chart of correspondences. I have my Living Mandala Consulting chart of correspondences that, I plot and plan all of these colors, but also goddesses into. So it's interesting, to hear us both come up with completely different lists of goddesses, almost for everyone. I mean, I think we had a few matches here and there.
Not many, though.
Certainly not many. I mean, the crossover was startlingly scant.
Which I love.
Which I really, really love. So, in terms of, this series, is there anything that you would say that jumped out at you as surprising?
Yes. So, as I was going through and researching a little more into each color, what was so fascinating to me, and I started to look for this as I moved through the spectrum, was how these colors, not only what we thought about them emotionally and how we use them culturally in our language, but the actual physical effects they have on our body. Like deep reds increase our appetite, but blues actually are an appetite suppressant, and greens calm us, but yet also activate us. Yellows encourage communication and are great for networking and kind of mental clarity, whereas Oranges are like nature's antidepressant, and they bring warmth and happiness. And blues, bring us safety and security. And purples and violets are associated with luxury and wealth. And black is sophistication. And each color had, a spectrum to it. So, there was the positive aspects of the color, and there was also kind of the more negative aspects of the color.
Well, and I would hope that listeners could hear overtly how, we're not the only people having this conversation, by the way. We alluded to it, back, I think, in the orange episode where we pointed out, Home Depot and Gatorade having a lot of orange, but like, you don't see any fast food restaurants with blues. They're all orange, yellow, red. Think Burger King, think McDonald's, think Wendy's, right? There's a reason that certain colors are marketed in marketing usages for...
It's very strategic.
It's very strategic. Stop signs are red for a reason. Stop signs aren't blue. They're red. The colors on the stoplight, you've got the red, the green, and the yellow.
Green means go.
Green means go.
Yellow is caution. And in fact, in nature, yellow and black is a very much nature's warning color.
Right.
Like, don't touch something if it's yellow and black.
Right. I can think of snakes. I can think of bumblebees. I can think of all kinds of things that have certain color patterns that are downright dangerous. I also found it interesting how, some of your sort of more classical, interior design degree suggestions around color usages are very similar to very old, many thousands of years old feng shui suggestions of color. How, there are some differences. It's very stark. I think feng shui colors are more overtly associated with various elements because we're always in that conversation of yin and yang. We're always in that conversation of the 5 elements. And so colors are used to really balance those out. But at the same time, nothing in feng shui would say have a red bedroom.
Right.
You mean unless it was like a fantasy sex palace or something, but that would literally be the only...
You ain't sleeping in that.
You ain't sleeping in that for folks. You know what I mean? It's too stimulating. It's too much fire.
Right.
Because it's too much fire. It'll burn you alive in there. And so, but then also, that use of that same color in feng shui is all about, attracting energy. And so, your front door and, the red ribbon on the pipes, remember that, those type things that you don't find in classical interior design.
Well, we've been doing this for a long time, whether we're conscious of it or not. And some things are truly universal and cross cultures that have never even met.
Right.
So, it's...
Because they're so
natural.
obvious.
They're so obvious. It's natural to associate warm neutrals and browns with earth or wood. It's natural to associate blue with calmness and water. It's natural to associate greens with safety, security, and shelter. I mean, or the reds and oranges and yellows with fire, right? So color is right in front of our faces.
Right.
And we have associations ingrained in us, whether we know it or not.
Right. Well, and then, we've kind of localized this conversation to, house and home for the obvious reasons. But, I think that, a lot of these colors also extend beyond into our yards. I mean, think about a lush green yard versus, a stone and cacti xeriscaped yard versus a dead yard of just brown grass, right? I mean, each one of those is going to kind of, invoke a series of feelings, emotions, reactions in the people that experience them. And so, the same sort of conversation can also go just right outside your home and how you handle your yard, decisions that you make. I understand a lot of folks, they want to save water and they want a xeriscape. And so how do you still bring in color with some of those more xeriscaped, let's face it, there's a lot of, stone and brown and cacti and things like that when you xeriscape, but there's also a lot of pops of color you can bring in with wildflowers and, low, drought tolerance. I'm thinking of several that are bright purple.
Absolutely.
Nesters, I guess is what they're called.
It's fascinating. So, I'm born and raised in Dallas, but I moved to New Mexico, which is an extremely different landscape and high desert. So you don't have the green grass lawn
Right.
up there.
It's not,
I mean, you do in Taos, which is fascinating. But Santa Fe, Albuquerque areas, you're in the earthen colors, and those pops of color just become so much more valuable. And you find them in cacti flowers, in camisa, that bright yellow. So the colors actually become more noticeable because they're more rare.
well, and they're against that more neutral backdrop, right? A desert for sure. And so, your website's colorcaravan.com, and, you've said it a few times, wallpapers and textiles and things like that. But like, if people wanted to reach out to you and work with you, like, what would that look like? So what are the different ways people could work?
So, I love working with color, and that was kind of the inspiration behind Color Caravan, because I saw that there was a hole in the industry for these clear, bright, happy color ranges. It was dominated by neutrals and kind of muddy colors, and I wanted to really inject kind of just some happiness and some fun. So, I'm available for virtual design. I love space planning. I love organization. But I also, my true passion is I'm a painter at heart. And I love painting in my studio and taking those designs and turning them into patterns. I just finished a home office where I custom color matched the wallpaper to their cabinetry color.
Cool.
And I helped them decide what color their cabinetry should be based on the direction of the light in their room, which I've talked about a lot in this series, but it really, really is important. And I think it's something that's not talked about enough.
Well, and it sounds like that you could probably customize wallpapers or textiles based on, qualities that somebody wants to exude, or a certain, deity that they work with. Without screaming the deity, you can bring in all the symbology and really tell a story with the pattern and the color, and, really help to amplify the personality even of the...
Absolutely. Well, and it's where does this color work best? So you talk about that a lot with feng shui, is like, this is where the color works best in the home, right? Same applies in interior design. Are you going to put bright red in your bedroom? No. Can you use it as an accent? Sure. So what color are you naturally attracted to, and where would you like to use it, and helping guide people through those decisions.
Right, and where are your color deficiencies?
Correct.
So
Do you need a little bit more of a calming blue in your life?
a color guidance.
Yes. Because, the beginning of my career, I was a specialty painter and muralist. So I've painted hundreds of homes across the DFW Metroplex. So I have seen the gamut. I have custom color matched, colors on old walls. I've faux painted stones to hide outlets. Like I really was blessed in the beginning stages of my career to be truly immersed in kind of color theory. And that has served me so well as I transitioned into interior design, because I really understood undertones and how to use color in a way that gets you where you want to go.
Cool. Very good. Well, colorcaravan.com is the website. Of course, my website, if you're listening to this podcast, is livingmandalaconsulting.com. I tend to work with people less on, sort of interior design, and I tend to be more, bringing in some of the feng shui ideas. I also do energetic space clearing. That's one of my favorite things to do. And what I really do is I just show you how to do it. And then, ideally you're on your own from there. So, our interests overlap throughout this 20-year friendship that, again, we just figured out today. We've been friends 20 years, which is really amazing. But, I would say the common thread over all these years has been art, and has been color, and has been, creative pursuits. And so, here is simply another manifestation of that through this podcast series. I hope everyone has enjoyed it. Be sure to look at Nicole up on the interwebs. And what is your Instagram, Color Caravan?
It is color_caravan. And I just want to thank you so much for inviting me on this color journey. It has been so much fun. I have learned so much more than I thought I was going to learn. And now I just have all that stored away in my little brain. So thank you for inviting me along. It has been such a fun journey.
For sure. And thank you for agreeing to do it. This is a series that I just don't think I could have done by myself. You know what I mean? You bring so much to the table and expertise and education, and it's just such a compliment to be able to have a good, juicy, rich, dynamic conversation about something so simple as color.
And yet so complicated.
And so complicated. So again, this has been Living Mandala podcast. This is the final episode to the Color and the Living Mandala series. I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Who knows what's next, but there'll be another series coming out real soon. Thanks for listening.